My name's Dave Dubeau, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Welcome back, everybody. So, hey, chances are, if you've been around this show or real estate in general, you've heard of short-term rentals, you've heard of mid-term rentals. You might not quite know which fits where, or why, or how. Today's special guest definitely knows all about that. So we've got Brian Biernat zooming in all the way from beautiful Jackson, Mississippi. And Brian is a full-time real estate entrepreneur. And a lot of the reason he's able to focus on this full-time is exactly because of that, because of short-term rentals and mid-term rentals. So Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Dave. I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what got you into real estate in the first place, because I think that started back in 2017, if not sooner. You didn't start out with short-term and mid-term rentals. You started out with something else. And I think, if I recall correctly, you kind of had a big life-changing thing that happened to you guys that really got you on this path.
Yes.
What happened?
That's my lovely wife peeking in.
My lovely wife. Welcome.
Well, yes, exactly. We had some pretty life-altering moments in 2016. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in February. Wow. Had surgery in March, and my lovely wife, who just peeked in, was hit on her bicycle while riding on the trace, and the guy left her. Wow. And so, those two things happened, and they say when you have those kind of moments, you tend to make some big decisions. And so one of the things we talked about was, well, let me back up. I was in telecom for 28 years, and I had moved probably 3 times for jobs. And I said, I don't want to move ever again for a job. Mm-hmm. This is it. I'm 49 at the time. I'm 57 now. We don't want to do that. So we once that happened, we started looking, we started talking, praying, asking, what should we be looking at? And we both agreed real estate was something that was interesting to us. And so we started researching in 2016, and then we kind of jumped all in 2017. Started with wholesaling, just flipping equitable interest in contracts. We do a little bit of that today, but not primarily. And then we started into notes, and then we got to short-term rentals at the time, and now short and mid-term rentals.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that synopsis. And I'm so glad that obviously you and your wife are doing very well now, physically and professionally, and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, those kind of experiences really do give a guy and a gal a wake-up call, and just kind of make you reevaluate everything. We realize how short life is, and why the heck are we punching the clock for somebody else?
Exactly. And, I loved my job. I loved telecom. And as I tell people, in 2017, I started an affair, and just got to a point where it was very hard to go to my job.
But started with an affair with real estate. I don't want you to get in trouble with your wife, which she is.
No, she knows. She's the one that kept me on and said, don't be doing anything on. I said, nope. On the job time is 100% on the job. So we did it lunch hours and after hours.
Wow. All right. Well, let's dive into what your real estate investing business looks like today. So maybe give me the big picture overview. What does your current portfolio consist of, Brian?
So we have about I don't even know the exact count, somewhere around 10 or so notes, seller finance notes, where we buy properties, rehab, and then we sell them for affordable housing.
Okay. We try to appeal. Are you focused? Are those mobile homes, or are they regular houses?
We do have a couple manufactured homes. One manufactured home doing that. But most of them are single family rentals. Okay. They're in probably the $70,000 to $80,000 range here in South Jackson area. Yep. We try to appeal to people that want to keep their rent down but become homeowners. So we try to take market rents, which have gone up, by the way, quite a bit, and they continue to go up. But we try to keep them about 200 or so below market rents. That's one thing. And then we have at the moment we have 25 short-term rentals. It's a variation of some arbitrage, rental arbitrage. We own some, and then we host for other investors. So we allow them to have the benefit of the business without having to be in the business.
Okay, so maybe I understand you having your own properties. Got it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
understand the arbitrage, which is basically you're renting a place and then
Correct.
with permission and subletting it out as a short-term
Correct.
rental.
That's right.
But maybe unwrap the whole other investors working with other
Okay.
investors. Yeah.
So we had people solicit to us, reach out to us and said, "Hey, I've got a property. I'd like to short-term rental it. I don't know what I'm doing. You're a super host. You've obviously had some success. Love your website. Would you help me do that?"
Okay.
And we said, "Sure, why not?" So we have some guidelines and things we ask of the investor, the property owner, and then we have an agreement we sign just to make sure everyone's on the same page. And then we basically treat that property like it's just one of our own.
Interesting.
And we pretty much deal with our team handles all the day to day. And at the end of the month, the beginning of next month, they get a check and a report says how they did.
So why do you like to do that instead of just doing the arbitrage model with those real estate investors?
Well, honestly, they weren't interested in doing arbitrage.
Oh, they
They owned
wanted
the
to do
property.
Airbnb, but not
They, yeah,
be hands-on.
they bought a property and they said, "Hey, we want to get this Airbnb thing, and how can we work with you?"
Got it.
We're like, "Okay." So we're like,
So
we
you're
did
like a
nothing.
management company for these guys, and
Yeah, exactly. We host it for them on the platforms, and we host it on our website, and we didn't solicit it. It kind of came to us.
very
So
good.
it was a
So do you
door
do
that,
kind of a rev share there, or just like a
yeah,
flat
we do. We
service?
do. We do a split. That's right.
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
On the
Well, that makes
gross.
sense. That makes it more worthwhile for you guys for sure. Because
Absolutely.
I think the whole just management side of things is kind of a thankless job. So
Yeah, I agree. We kind of refer to it as a host agreement or performance lease type thing. So,
nice. Nice. Well, I like that idea, Brian. So you got three different ways that you get involved with that. Now, you also do midterm rentals. So for folks that don't know the difference between short term and midterm, maybe explain it and the pros and cons of each.
okay. So when you think of short term, think of less than 30 days. You're going to have a few more touches, a few more turnovers, right? We don't do single night stays. I think that we do probably 3 to 4 days minimum. So you have more touches, more turns, right? You have to clean it more, touch it more. In the midterm market is 30 days plus. So you could be talking about medical professionals traveling in the area. A sweet spot that we've gotten into is relocation for realtors and also insurance specialists. So a tree falls on your house, you don't want to stay in a hotel for the next 3 to 6 months. The company, the State Farm, if it's State Farm, their adjuster calls one of these insurance specialists and they reach out to guys like me. And then I provide them a place.
That's smart.
So
Yeah, I like that. I've heard of other people doing the midterm rentals, focusing on the traveling professionals, medical
right,
professionals, that sort of thing. I've definitely also heard about it for relocation, but that's the first time that I've heard about it for insurance,
insurance.
and it just makes
Yeah.
all sorts of sense, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah, that's a you get a fire, you get a flood, you get something
Yeah,
like that where
exactly.
the house is not completely destroyed, but it's going to take a hell of a long time to fix it up. Hotels get really expensive.
Well, they're very expensive. And if you look at the value add between a short-term rental and a hotel, they both have their place, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to throw out the hotel industry. I still stay in hotels from time to time, but if you're going to go somewhere for 3, 4, 5 nights or more,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to stay in a hotel. I eat my own dog food. We stay in Airbnbs all the time. In fact, we tried out a tiny home for the first time over this weekend at a real estate event. So
Nice.
so yeah, we like them. But the best way is under 30 short-term rental, over 30 midterm rental, and yeah.
Now, do you swap back and forth with some of the properties, or do you kind of dedicate certain properties to?
No, no, we really we we kind of do a hybrid. So, if we don't have a midterm, we'll just focus on the short term. It really depends on the property. Most of the midterm stuff for us from the insurance and reload is usually 2 bedrooms or bigger. So we have about 6 that are studio/1 bedrooms. So those kind of gravitate to more the short term, but we get a lot of business. Our website's been up now for over 4 years. So we have good SEO. So we get a lot of hits on the website, just people coming in for a week here, a week there, 2 weeks. So we don't discriminate against either. And obviously, if we wanted to have more of a focus on the midterm, we'd have to probably block our calendar a little more on the short-term side. But thus far, we've been managing it okay. So
yeah, interesting stuff. So do you focus on one primary area for your short-term and your midterm rentals, or do you kind of have them all over the place?
We kind of have them in pockets, Dave. There's certain areas within the Jackson metro. So we have some in Brandon. We have a couple on the water. We have a couple in Ridgeland near the water where we can do them. We have them in the core areas of Jackson, places called Fondren North, Bellhaven. We kind of have them grouped together. Midtown, we have them in pockets. And that's how we learned from our mentor. Give him a shout out. Al Williamson was one of the guys that helped us. But we kind of have them in pockets. And
but definitely focused on Jackson, Mississippi. That's you're focused on
Jackson Metro. So that includes Jackson, Hinds County, Madison County, and Rankin County.
Okay. Very, very good. Yep. So with all of this experience that you guys have now over the years working with short-term rentals and midterm rentals, I mean, obviously you're big fans of them, but it's not all sunshine and flowers. So maybe compare and contrast. What do you like the most about this business, and what are some of the things that aren't so great about it?
Well, my wife and I are partners, and there's things that she does really well that I don't like.
Yeah.
Let me back up. There's things she does really well that I don't want to be involved with. Yeah. And there's things that I do very well that she doesn't want to be involved with.
Perfect. Each one of you is in your own lane. That's good.
Exactly. Stay on your side of the fence. Stay in your lane. My lane in this part of our business is really more biz dev and marketing. So I kind of also help her oversee some maintenance issues with vendors. She handles guest relations. She handles follow up with guests. And there's a good reason for that. Because the rating systems on some of these platforms are very challenging at times, right? Someone's opinion is almost taken as gospel, and then you have to you don't really get a chance sometimes to really defend yourself. So I have a hard time with that. She's better on the guest relations side.
I'm hearing she's a little bit more diplomatic for that.
Yeah, I'm a little more. She's probably a little more diplomatic. I'm a little more direct, probably a little.
I hear you about
tougher in that respect, but there's a reason why you have partners, right? And if you, especially with your spouse. So, what she does well, we focus on, and we also notice too in dealing with people, sometimes depending on who we're dealing with and how they were brought up, it might be better for her to deal with them or me, depending on the situation, because it's just how America is, right? I mean, yeah. you gotta adapt. So we work well in that respect. But I'm not the biggest, the greatest guest relations person, and she doesn't like to deal with some of the business side of things. I like dealing with new clients, especially if it's an insurance person or a big company. We've had quite a few direct bookings from big companies that kind of repeat. So that's kind of my thing. And I did that a little bit in my telecom career too. So
very cool. So what I'm hearing is one of the things you don't like about the business is how finicky the whole rating and review system can be. Your wife can deal with that a lot better, but maybe for those of us who don't have direct experience with short-term rentals, tell me what your pet peeve is about the rating system.
So the rating system is really it's completely a guess, right? You could do everything really well, and someone's going to say, well, that was a 4. And a 4 is not a good rating. If you're on Airbnb, you want 5s because you have to maintain a 4.8 rating to be a super host. So they could give you 5s and everything. And if they think overall their opinion was a 4, that's what it is. So there's no no mathematical formula, right? It's
So
if
they
you
give you
are,
little individual ratings and then one global rating, and they only pay attention to the global rating.
the global rating carries the water, right?
Wow.
So that can be a little bit challenging. We've done very well in that sense. On the short term side, there's obviously you have challenges in real estate with anything else. So some of the one of the big things is you have to have. We've developed a team. We have a team of runners. We have a team of cleaners, contractors. So it allows us to not have to necessarily be in all the business. There's a few things we still do, but sometimes that can be a little bit challenging. When you get a pipe that breaks here in Jackson, we have a lot of Yazoo clay. We have a lot of foundation problems. When a pipe breaks under a house on a slab and you have a guest coming Saturday and it's Thursday.
Wow. Yeah.
That can be a little bit, but there was a solution. I learned something new on how they fix those things. But that's just the life of real estate investor, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Those things come up. The benefit of the midterm is once they go in there, I mean, they're in there, and unless we're doing a filter change or a pest control spray, I mean, we don't really hear from them. We don't see them, and it's quiet. And
they're not as finicky.
They're not as finicky. Typically, for the most part, they're not.
Plus the ratings don't really come into play so much there.
There are no ratings because those are usually direct bookings off platform. So yeah, they come to us direct.
So you pay the payoff is the cash flow might not be as good, but the headache factor is far less. Would that be fair to say?
I would say the cash flow is, God, that's tough to say. I would say the cash flow in the midterm is probably a little better. Now, again, bear in mind, I'm not a vacation market, right? So in a vacation market, that might be the case. I'm a tier 2 market, so people don't usually come to Jackson on vacation. Although there are things to do here, we're more of a business destination. So that's why convenient corporate housing is the name we chose. We are attractive to businesses. Businesses come in, contractors. We get tons of contractors. Pick an industry, name an industry. Right now, we have the Sanderson Farms golf tournament. We have 3 or 4 pros staying in our properties, and we have a gentleman that's heading up the entire operation in 2 of our houses. So that's kind of our clientele. That's kind of where we want to be, right? We do get some of those, but I would say in the other markets that are more vacationing, like let's say Pensacola on the beach, 30A, the Blue Ridge Mountains of Georgia, Gatlinburg, those are more vacation markets, right? So if you have enough of those daily and weekly, I think you could probably do pretty well.
Okay. So just, I find that interesting because you're not in a vacation market. You're more of a business type situation. So the profitability is not as high for your short-term rentals as other areas. So actually your short-term and your mid-term rentals are kind of similar as far as cash flow goes. So that would mean that you have a few more vacancies with the short-term rentals, or just the average nightly rate is lower?
The average not. So let me clarify. So the short-term rental business is good. The midterm rental is longer stays. So house can be booked 3, 4, 5 months, right out. Whereas the short term, maybe it's only a week. I'm not saying we have a lot of vacancies.
No, but you got gaps.
We could, but not necessarily. We might have a property that has 20 plus days booked, which is 60% in our book. That's kind of what we budget on. 60. We've seen our rates go as high as 90, and probably somewhere in the 70s on average. I think the midterms just give you a more consistent, longer forward-looking cash flow, right? Whereas on the short term, sometimes you may only have 45, 60 days or less kind of purview, right? So you may have some openings, but when you get those midterms in there, it locks it out for 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Plus, I would imagine with the midterms, you're not having to spend as much on cleaning and that sort of thing, on fees.
That's right.
For the different platforms, that kind of stuff as well.
That's right. Yeah, you're not touching them as much. No, not at all.
Yeah. No, very, very cool, Brian. Holy smokes. Well, time flies when we are having a fun conversation. So if people would like to connect with you and find out more, how can they do that?
Well, they can connect with me. I can give my cell number out if that's okay.
If you'd like to, sure. Or if you got a website or a YouTube channel.
Well, go to our website, go to convenient corporate housing, all one word, .com. And you can reach out to us there. You can hit us on our cell. You can reach out to us in email. You can also go to Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We're on there as well. And TikTok.
Fantastic. You're a busy social media kind of guy.
And we just launched a YouTube channel about 30 something days ago.
Fantastic. All right, Brian. Well, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for sharing your experience and your insights into short-term and mid-term rentals. I love what you're doing. I love that niche, especially kind of dialing it in with the insurance companies. That's really, really smart. And being able to double dip sometimes, having a property that's short-term and mid-term, and some that are dedicated more one way or the other. So yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, Dave. Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, take care. We'll talk to you on the next episode. Hey there. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now, at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.